Hi Ma, good morning. Welcome back for today's session. So in the last class, what we learned? Computing paradigm distinctions. So in this class, we learn about centralized computing, parallel computing, distributed computing, and cloud computing. So what is centralized computing? Whenever there is a single physical system which cannot able to share with anybody, okay, and with a tight coupled of memory along with the OS. Okay, so this system can able to process, store and communicate with only with connected systems only, means dumb terminals I can say. Other systems may not able to process. Okay, so this centralized system can be helpful in the use of parallel, distributed and cloud computing applications also. How ma'am? You can ask me question whether how this can be useful for our distributed systems ma'am. As it is centralized system, no, it is not able to communicate with anybody. Centralized system means either single system or we can say single server. So whenever there is a single server, automatically multiple clients can communicate with the server to get the service. But the unfortunate thing in the centralized system is if server collapse, then other clients also may not be able to get service from the centralized system. That's the main drawback of this centralized system. Okay, so next moving to parallel computing. What is a parallel computing? Which can able to process a single program in multiple systems or multiple programs in multiple systems. Okay, so with this multiple processors are there, every processor have some storage connected to that. If you see this tightly coupled with central, means all are working with the central computer but loosely coupled with the distributed. They are not at one place, they are distributed but they are working for the same thing. Means they are doing the job. For example, we have one job which is divided in terms of subprograms and distributed to the other computers. If you do, it is called as a tightly coupled system. Okay ma? Next, so programs running in a parallel computer is called as parallel programs, we know that, and programs doing programming in the parallel system is called as a parallel programming. Okay, distributed computing, no evolution starts from here. They are physically separated but logically connected each other to do some application or to work out on application. Okay, so every system has its own memory which can able to share with any other system also. Every system has its own processor which can able to execute itself. Next, so every computer in the distributed computing can able to communicate with each other with the help of a message passing only. Okay, message passing, sending and receiving the data in terms of connectivity, in terms of disconnectivity. Finally, cloud computing, our main theme. So this can be either centralized or decentralized. What is centralized and what is decentralized? Centralized one is the one, I said previously, one control of many systems. What is a distributed? Anybody can share the data, not controlling at all. They used to work in a friendly manner. So which is the best one? Cloud computing only, be using distributed computing. Okay, so these clouds can be either parallel systems or distributed systems, or it can be either physical systems or virtual resources. So virtualization is very important. I talked in the previous videos also. In the next classes we will in detail about this. Now, distributed system families. See, all this evolution came in terms of cloud computing because of two terms. One is the HPC, one is the HTC. What is the HPC? High performance computing. What is the HTC? High throughput computing. Okay, so HPC and HTC. Right? So in this paragraph, in the future, the author is saying in the future, but in the textbook of 2011. No, we are in 2020. So at present also, these two technology evolution benefited to lot of computing systems by using multi-core and many-core. By using what? Multi-core and many-core. So further these systems, what is high performance and what is high HTC, I will explain you shortly. So using this technology, lot of clusters are forming. How the cluster? What is a cluster in DMDW? Cluster is a collection of similar type of systems or homogeneous type of systems which can able to perform the same computation without any intervention in the service. If it is that is called as the clusters. So with this technology, both technology evolution, a lot of computers are connected each other to form a cluster, so that many projects, national projects are working each other, because scientists may be vary in different worlds, in different country, not world, in different countries. So those country people or country scientists are collaborating or contributing their service in a collaborative manner by using cluster formation only. Even the internet started because of ARPA. You know that? ARPA, American Research Project Agency. So that is the main theme of internet facility. First only 6 scientists started connecting each other. 6 scientists started connecting each other to do a project. Okay. After successful completion of this project, the 6 scientists are not at one place, but they scattered around the globe. From different country they are worker. Okay. So the national projects which are working from clusters, they form a grids, from grids they form a clouds. By using what? 2 technologies, one is HPC, one is HTC. What they are using? They are using multi-core and many-core. What they are using? Multi-core and many-core. What is a multi-core? Mini processors. What is a mini-core? Mini processors. In a single chip we have multiple processors. For example, if a program contains 10 instructions, we have 10 cores, automatically we will get the output in 1 second, because 10 instructions are executed by 10 cores. Right or wrong? So that is the advantage of the multi-core and many-core systems, where they can be useful in the parallel systems and distributed computing to form a cloud computing. Okay, so what is the advantage? What is the advantage of this HPC and HTC? See, we have lot of advantages. But the main focus is on 4 only. One is the throughput, one is efficiency, one is the scalability, one is the reliability. What is the throughput, ma? Throughput means in a very less time they have to execute a big program. In a very short period of time they have to execute a big program. What is efficiency? Efficiency means, see, giving output is not only important, giving perfect output is very, very important. Right? See, if you are given the big program but it is able to execute it anyway without any intervention with perfect output, then it is efficient system. For any type of data, any type of application, at any type of environment. If it is so, it is efficiency or it is efficient system. Scalability. See, my computer can able to work for only 10 programs. Is it scalable feature? No. With your memory processor capability, or if you are able to increase these two, automatically your scalability is going to increase. Many computers can able to execute their instructions at one place. That is called as a scalability. Any number of people can send their data, receive their data, process their data at the time. If it is, that is called as scalability. Reliability. See, if you see the company products, there is a duplicate products also. What is the main difference between the company product and the duplicate product? Reliability. Company will give for long time the service. What about the duplicate products? They will give service for less money but for short period. Okay, for example, take a TV. TV from Onida, previous days, it will last for 25 years. Okay, but now we have MI TV also, which with the higher technology. If you are going to get the products from the company, then we will get the reliability. So even communication system also should be reliable manner, without giving interruption in the service at any point of time. Okay, next. So this efficiency, in order to get the better efficiency, means get good output, we have to depend on some factors. What are those? One is the speed, one is the programming, one is the energy factors. I think we know about this. Speed means the instructions have to execute in a very fast manner. Programming, the code, whatever you are going to write, should be perfect. The energy factors, the power supply. For example, I am giving charging to the computer at present whenever talking to you. Why means whenever there is a power lesson at middle of my video, what happened? My video will collapse. Right? So power supply is also very, very important. If you are able to give full power at any point of time, that is round the clock, along with the speed that is number of processors are more and good programming is there, automatically your cloud system efficiency is going to be perfect at any point of time. Right? So it requires to fulfill the following design objectives. So with this, what is your design objectives? If you want to design your cloud computing, what you are expecting? What is your objectives like your syllabus? First one, efficiency. Next one, dependability. Third one, adaptation of the programming model. Final one is the flexibility in the application development. We will learn one by one. We learn about the efficiency just now. Okay, we should need speed, we should need programming, we should need energy. If you are able to provide multiple processor, good programming and energy, automatically efficiency will improve. Next, the dependability. What are the dependable factors for your cloud computing? We need processors, we need memory, we need network connectivity, we need bandwidth, we need multiple processors. All these are dependability factors. So if you want to design your thing, design objective, the objective is, one of the objective is dependability. What are the dependable factors? What are the software you are going to use? What are the tools you are going to use? What are the packages you are going to use? All these are important factors to consider. Right. Third one, adaptation of programming model. Very, very important. See, if you want to develop an application by using the C, and if you want to develop the same application by using Python, what is the difference between these two? The Python program will execute perfectly. Why C program will not execute? Of course, will execute. But some of the features in the Python may not available in the C language. Python need lesser code, but C need bigger code. To execute bigger code, time will take more time. We need more time. Automatically efficiency will degrade because performance will degrade because of more time. Right. So with this, the programming model also very, very important for you. And finally, the application development, flexibility. See, Microsoft Azure is a user-friendly application to use by the customer with the 6 to 7 steps. But if you go to GridSim or any other concept, it's very tough to do because it needs around 45 to 52 steps to get the service from the cloud. So it will take more time. Right. So in that cases, the flexibility is not to the customer. So in that cases, automatically the design objective will collapse. So these four are very, very important for your development of any cloud computing. Okay. One is efficiency, dependability, adaptation in the programming model, flexibility in the application development. Right. Next. Scalable computing trends and new paradigms. So till now in the last class, it is 1.1.2. So in the last 1.1.1, what we learned? Just I will go to the revise now. I want to revise for 1 second. Just have a glance. Yeah, it is a syllabus where we started. So this is an example given by me. So at the first 1.1, at the first class I given introduction regarding the evolution of computing systems. Later, networking connectivity. Later, with the help of internet facility, advantage or evolution in the cloud computing from Git, cluster, virtualization, utility, cloud computing. Right? Next, later I started explaining about the history from 60 years. So previously we used to use centralized computing. Later I started what is the data delge concept. Whenever more data is generated, automatically what is the new challenges we have to face. One is the hardware technology, one is the internet technology, one is the distributed computing, one is the system management. Which hardware we have to use for more data, how much internet we needed, how the system have to maintain, how to distributed computing have to do. Next one. So age of internet computing 1.1.1 in the first topic. What is the advantage of the internet computing in that? Right. High internet usage gives high performance to n number of customers at the same time. Connectivity, because of connectivity. How this can be done? Connectivity is not give total performance, but execution also will give. Because wireless communication is very, very tough to maintain. Even by using that, we can able to execute your programs. But how? Because our good computers are going to maintain by using HPC and HTC. Right. Next, I explained about some history 50 years. Next, I explained about the evolution of the technology because of data again. Whenever the data bulge is there, cloud computing is going to use. Whenever the cloud computing is going to use for storage, processing and maintenance, different scientific applications can run on that. Whenever the different scientific applications have to execute, automatically we have to maintain multi-core and parallel computing. Means many processors at a single chip. So later the platform evolution are given some history, 50 to 70, 60 to 80, 70 to 90 and 80 to 2000 and since 1990. From where we are going to use HPC and HTC, from 1990 we are going to use. Right ma? So later I given some introduction regarding HPC and HTC. HPC is using the centralized control, HTC is using the distributed control. I explained in the previous class. That is the main difference. Because of the centralized control, we are not preferring this HPC. Because of the distributed control, we are preferring this HTC. Okay. So what is HPC? I explained that. What is HTC? Okay. I explained that. They are going to use hyperflux computing. Shortly, I will explain what is it, which can be useful to search and web services uninterruptedly. New paradigms, SOA, virtualization and Internet of Things. Right, I hope all of you know about the internet. By using the GPS, global positioning system, where our system is, by using the RFID with radio frequency signals, we can develop our Internet of Things. Now, just in today's class, we learn about these 4 things: centralized, parallel, distributed, and cloud computing. About this HPC and HTC again. Okay, their outcomes or our expectations: throughput, efficiency, scalability, reliability. Okay, for efficiency, what we need: speed, programming, and energy factors. What are the design objectives? Efficiency, dependability, good programming model, and flexibility in the application development. Okay, now we came to the first unit, first topic, second topic. In first unit, in first topic, again second topic. Okay, scalable computing trends and new paradigms. Scalability means any number of can able to execute their programs at any point of time. How? Because of HPC and HTC. How? Because of multi-core and many-core processors. Right. So, where they can be useful? In a parallel environment along with the distributed environment. Okay. So, what is the advantage given by them? Throughput, efficiency, scalability, reliability. We know about this. In the previous slide only we learned. Now, before going our next topic, I want to explain about the Flint's classification. So, this is my BTech topic where parallelism is very, very important. So, one program can execute multiple instructions, right? Okay, who given this actually parallelism topic? Flint's. The person is called the Flint's. He divided a computer systems in terms of 4 categories. We will see what are those. SISD, single instruction, single data, single instruction, multiple data, single instruction, multiple instruction, single data, multiple instruction, multiple data. What is single instruction, single data? Single instruction is A plus B and A value is a 3 integer, B value is a 4 integer, that's it. So it can operate on only A plus B, that is 3 and 4. But it is not able to work on 3.4, 4.3, no, not possible. If you turn to single instruction multiple data, means this A plus B can run on 3 and 4 along with the 3.4 and 4.3 integer floats along with the characters also. That is single instruction multiple data. Now, multiple instruction single data. Multiple instruction means I have A plus B, A minus B, A into B, A divided B. 4 instructions I can run on same numbers 3 and 4. With plus 3 plus 4 7. With the minus 3 minus 4 minus 1. With the multiplication we will get 3 4s are 12. With the division we get some value 0.75 I think, 0.25 I think. I don't know, sorry. Okay, with that is MISD. Multiple instruction multiple data. A plus B, A minus B, A into B, A divided B can run on 3 4, 3.4, 4.3, 3.4.1, 4.4. Any type of data can run on. So which is the advantageous one? Automatically this one. multiple instruction, multiple data. If you want to perform multiple instructions execution, what we need? We need multiple processors. There we got into the scene of multi-core or many-core, which can be useful in HPC and HTC. So with this parallelism concept, I want to explain about the different parallelism concept, evolution. We got 8 methodologies where we can do parallelism or where we can introduce our parallelism. See, first bit level. Instead of executing single bit, we can execute multiple bits, BLP. Next, instead of executing single instruction, we can execute multiple instructions, instruction level. Instead of instruction short word, we can execute very long instruction word. What is a very long? 8 bits, 1 word, byte, 1 word. Very long, maybe 2 words, 3 words, 4 words. Can execute parallel. Okay. Data level, not on single data but multiple data. 3 and 4, 3.4, 4.3 can execute either integer or float or character or double. Okay. Single instruction, multiple data, which I said previously. We have only one instruction but which can process multiple type of data at the same time. Perfect. That is SIMD. Chip multiprocess, multiple instruction, multiple data. We have many instructions, many data by using multiple process. Task level. See, one job is divided into different tasks. For example, if you want to do some programming A plus B only, first we have to take the input, we have to process and we have to give output. We have 3 tasks here: input, process, output. Okay now, so this is called as a task level. So parallelly, we can do the 3 parallelly for even single program, multiple programs. But if you have only one job, the job is to run scientific applications, we can divide in terms of task. If it is so, that is called as a job level parallelism. Okay now, so these are we have 8 types of parallelism. Where you want to introduce parallelism, it is up to you. Either bit level or instruction level or very long words level or data level or instruction multiple data level, multiprocessor level or task level or job level. How many we have? 8. Okay, so innovative applications. With this technology evolution, with this parallelism concept, where we can use this? There is an infinite number of applications. I have given only limited list here, scientific, science and engineering, business, education, services, internet, web services, government applications and mission critical applications, means in military. Okay, these are only main domains, but if you go into inside, we have banking, education, earthquake, telecommunication, transaction processing, power grids, hospital, data centers, traffic monitoring, security, online processing, digital government, military. Oh my God, this list will never end. Because see, if you are able to if you are able to communicate with each other at present, not coming to college, how? Evolution of the technology only. How? Because of clouds, internet only. There is no internet facility. How can you communicate with me, ma? Can you able to come to my house to get a lecture? No, not possible, right? So these are some of the list of this evolution of these technologies. The trend towards utility computing, very important, ma. Very important, because for today life, all people used to follow pay and use. Why we are developing all these applications? Why we are getting lot of shops? Why we are getting lot of industries? Because of amount, money only. Without money, can you do? Can you give free service to anybody? Sorry, we can't give. Right? So here comes a word called as utility computing. What is utility computing? Whenever the company want to provide some service to you, he is expecting some amount for the service, some money for the service. That is pay and use. We have to pay our money to get my service to you. That is called as a utility computing. It is utility computing. Okay now? So now, for what it is? Utility computing focuses on business model. whom he want to give the business? To the customers. How we want to give this business? In terms of paid service provider. We have to pay to get the service to the provider. We have to pay to get the service to the provider. If it is so, that is called as a utility computing. Where we can use this utility computing? Grid and cloud platforms. How? By utility service providers. Amazon, Google, IBM, Cisco. So, a lot of companies are providing their clouds by getting money only, not free of cost. Yeah. So, it is evolution, mark. It is evolution totally what we explained in the previous slides. At one slide I have given with a single diagram. See, we have got evolution in the computing technology from internet to providing data centers connectivity by paying amount to getting the service in terms of grid connecting systems, peer-to-peer communication along with the cloud computing. But all this can be done with the help of internet only. That is technology convergence. How this technology is improved? Because of HTC and HPC. What is the advantage of this concept? Reliable and scalability features. Autonomic means getting this whenever there is a system problem, manually we should not check. The system have to rectify itself. If you have to identify the problem, you have to rectify the problem. If it is so, that is called as autonomic. And composable. What we are expecting from the company, what is expecting by the company. We are expecting quality of service from the company, and the company expecting some agreement levels. See, whenever we are going to signing or creating account, we have to sign, that is a tick. I agree with your terms and conditions. That word is called as a service level agreement. The company is going to provide the service to you, but with the agreement of some service levels. This is our extent of my service to you. Beyond that, you can't expect any service to me. We have to read all before signing our form. That is marking tick. Okay, that is called as SLA and quality of service. Right, ma? So this is again n number of applications. That is hype cycle of new technology. What is a hype? More interesting, more concept. Hurry, వీడు భలే ఉన్నారా, అరే ఇవాళ బాగుందిరా క్లాస్, కొంచెం దానికి ఎక్కువ చెప్పేస్తాం అవునా. If it is so, that is called as a hype. So how new technologies came in terms of hype? See, I read some, I think you are not able to visible this picture. If possible, zoom your screen, you can watch this. I will read some of the applications, hype in these new technologies. Mobile robotics, wireless power, social analytics, 3D printing, media tablet, internet TV, mesh networks, natural language processing, social TV, quantum computing, e-books readers, mobile application stores, speech recognition, predictive analytics, location aware applications, that is GPS. See, these are all applications coming to scene because of this connectivity only, because of this high memory only, because of high processing only. So there is a picture given in 2011 July. Now we are in August of 2020. After 9 years, you can expect n number of applications. Example is our Google Meet. Right? Right. See, Internet of Things and cyber physical systems. I think you know about the Internet of Things. It is by using by RFID, but can be useful for some distance only. But if you want to move this evolution of this IoT, means any device can control anywhere, from anywhere, throughout the world. If it is so, we have to move to the CPS, cyber physical systems. Physical system controlling by using internet. It is also Internet of Things only, but only to limited distance, but it can extend to any amount of distance. See, what is Internet of Things? Interconnection of objects, tools, devices or computers. All things can be connected at one place by using internet. So how this internet will get? Wireless network of sensors. They will sense the data and will give. For what? For large and small applications, and should be performed on time at some place. Limited to some place only. Then what is the CPS? Cyber physical system. It is also computational process in the physical world. Physical devices will be there, computers also will be there. But what is the advantage with this is it can perform asynchronous operations. In the Internet of Things, we can perform only synchronous operations. Those both should be bind with the clock. But in the CPS, no need to bind with the clock. Anyone can start, depend upon our requirement. Even if you are here, no need to start at time. You can start sometime later. If it is so, that is called as a CPS. Okay, so the CPS depends upon three things, three C's. One is the computation, communication and control. This control can be in asynchronous manner. How? This control can be in asynchronous manner but not synchronous. Right, ma? So that is about 1.1, the age of internet technologies. In the next class we will learn about technologies for network based system. Okay, so have a nice day today. Take care.